what we wanted to review here today was the process for insurance, and we want to also review the process for lab ordering. Step one, both insurance and labs are considered different types of suppliers. Insurance also could be a third-party payer, so any third parties that might pay, if it's not insurance, it might be like a special, his employer, might be paying for security glasses or something like that. In other words, anytime the customer, the patient is not paying, we need to enter that other person that might be paying the bill as a supplier. So we've got all the different suppliers here. Now you've already signed up with Frames Data, so you've got all the Frames Data suppliers in here as well. Let's make sure that we have your insurance. Which insurances do you accept at your practice?
Let's see, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
So when I open up Blue Cross Blue Shield, I see their information there. I see that you've checked it off as an insurance provider, and I see that you've entered your account number. Okay, and you've entered that it's related to your store. So you've assigned this account number. You've assigned this account number to your store. That's perfect.
Okay.
We have an account number. We've assigned it to our store. We've got the supplier's name here, and we've checked off that they're an insurance provider. So if this is not your account number, you can always edit it, okay, and you can write something in its place. You can write like default, if you would prefer.
Right. I just leave that in there that's in there, and then I'll double check that this afternoon.
Okay, great. What other insurances do you accept at your practice?
MODA.
Okay, there we go. So I open up MODA. Great. I see their name here. I see an account number. I see an insurance. And when I click here, I see that you've selected that this particular account number is related to your store. Perfect.
Wow.
What other insurances do you accept?
Gosh, there was a place where I could just look at them on the program.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's a way of. I mean, when I open up the invoice, anybody that you've actually selected in this list, as you did here, anybody that you've actually checked off as an insurance provider, will appear in my list of insurances on an invoice. So it's just this is just kind of the preliminary step, if you will, making sure that the data is entered properly. So I'm going to assume that your data is entered properly for all of your insurance guys, because I see that you've done the basics. You've put his name. You've checked off that they're an insurance provider, an account number, and you've assigned it to the store. Those are the four most important things. Other things we strongly recommend: put in an email address, a fax number, a phone number. This is ways of communicating back and forth.
Right.
Next, we're also going to check out the labs while we're at it, since we're in the supplier page.
Yeah, we only have one, and it's Hoya.
So we got Hoya. So if I was to scroll down over here, Hoya.
Yeah, it's the first one, yeah.
There we go. Hoya. I see Hoya's over here. You've checked off that they're a finishing lab, a surfacing lab, your account number. You've assigned that account number to your store. Fantastic. And especially important, if you want to be able to send lab orders to your store, to the lab by email, you need to have their email address right there, which you've done. And you've also got their fax number. Fantastic. Perfect.
Do I need to put a 1 in those?
In the supplier, in the phone number over here?
Right. For like the fax number for it to call out.
If it's I probably would. So we've entered a 1 in front of that fax number. In case you ever want to call them via the software as well, we'll put in a phone number and all those types of things. Save. Okay, and close. So now we've got our suppliers in there the way we needed them in there. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and let's make sure that we're receiving insurance the way insurance should be done. Okay. So let's make a sale to a patient with insurance. We click there. I'm going to find a patient in your database. Here he is. All right, and we're going to make an invoice for this patient. We're going to attach some RX here.
You guys aren't getting any of that big snow, are you?
Oh wow, we got a lot of snow in the last few days. A lot. It's not been fun. There we go. By the way, you know that there's pair pricing. Is that something that you wanted?
Yes.
There you go.
Wow.
From stock, I'm going to say, give me an product that you have at your practice. You got any Ray-Bans?
No.
No.
Can't sell Ray-Bans. Are you crazy? Dude.
You got something.
I'll just put something in there. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I got it. So I've got this. I've entered it here, and notice pair pricing instead of single lens pricing. Okay, so we have this in here now. Great. We've created an invoice for our patient. Now we want to assign an insurance. So we've got a few different insurances here. So you've got Medicare, you've got VSP in here and over here. So I select my insurer, and then I select, it automatically adds a column. If you have a second insurance provider, you can select it there in case the person has two insurances, right? So, but now, just for the sake of argument over here, I'm not going to select that. I'm going to unselect that second one. I'm just going to leave one insurance. So we've got our lenses over here, and we've got our frame over here. So let's say that the insurance for this patient is paying, I don't know, $250 for lenses, and is paying, sorry?
How do I know that?
So in order to know that, you have to be able to access that patient's information, okay, that patient's information via their insurance. You're going to probably have to go on the insurance company's website. You're going to have to go there, and you're going to have to figure out exactly how much this patient is entitled to. That's something that all practices do. Now, when we're integrated with Gateway EDI, then we are actually going to figure out these numbers for you.
Great.
Okay, but until then, you have to figure it out yourself.
Right.
So then Ray-Bans over here, you're charging $140. So let's say that VSP picks up $100 for that. We can see that there's a total. The invoice total is $510. Primary insurance picking up $350, so that's $250 plus $100, and the patient balance is $160. But we still have to add a copay, so we're going to type copay, and there you have it. You've got different copays. So in this case, we'll take just a regular copay, select it, and add it. So copay now, you've got any amount. The copay is automatically charged to the patient. So for example, let's say that there's a $25 copay. Any amount that is added to the patient is automatically subtracted from the insurer. So your total here doesn't change. It's still $510. Your insurance paying $325, and your patient now paying $185. But the total amount of the bill didn't change. It's $510. And now you're done. Click on Pay. You could say that the patient was just giving you a deposit today of $100, or you could say, no, the patient's going to pay the full balance right away, which is $185.
Right.
And you say, okay, how's he going to pay? He's going to pay on his Visa, and click the check mark.
Right.
So the patient makes a full payment, done. If the patient makes a full payment, then when you go and print his invoice, it's going to say, okay, how do you want to print it? Do you want to print the invoice in the worksheet, or the invoice on its own? Or do you want to print out the CMS 1500 form?
Right.
In this case, we're going to skip the CMS 1500. We're just going to say, print out the invoice in the worksheet. Now, do you want to print out the invoice in the worksheet with the insurance details showing, or without the insurance details? Some practices don't want to show the amount which is out to insurance because you don't know that you're actually going to collect this full $325 that is owed, right? Maybe there's going to be some sort of adjustments or whatever. So they kind of prefer not to show the insurance details. In this case, we're going to say show it with the insurance details. Now the system is asking, is the job open or closed? It's asking that because the full balance is paid. We're going to say the job is still open because we have not yet delivered the product to the patient. We haven't actually given him his frames. So we'll say it's still open. For today's purpose, I'm going to print it as a PDF. Print.
There it is.
And we'll rotate it. Okay. So what do we have here? On the left-hand side, we have an invoice. On the right-hand side, you have your RX worksheet for your tray. What we see here is the invoice. We see the totals due here, and we see everything. This is an invoice made out to the patient. You see the total of 510. The insurance picking up 325. That's the amount which is currently out to insurance. Balance due of 0. We see our payment method over here. Everything is perfectly laid out.
Right.
On the right-hand side, as you're used to, you've got your RX worksheet. This is for your tray. And you can see the subtotal is 510, the total being 510, balance due 0. This is the tray label, the label for your tray. So everything here is standard, nothing new on that front. Coming back in here, well, we're already here. Now your patient leaves. Now you go out and you send off your job to your lab, right? So now how do you send this job to the lab? Close. You click, so there's two ways of doing it. You're absolutely right. Let me come back into the patient's file over here. Enter. Double click. Okay, and here's the job, right? This is the invoice over here, and this is the job, right? So how can I have done this? I could have come in here. I could have said to edit this, and I could say, okay, select my lab that I'm sending this to, right? Click on save. I'm saying it's still open. I could have selected my lab, and I can click on order. Okay? When you click on order, it automatically opens up your order form. That looks like this, with all the data already in here. This is one way of producing the order form. There's another way of producing the order form. The other way of producing it, because let's say you can't place that order immediately, right? Because you've got a customer in front of you, you don't feel like reopening the job. This RX worksheet has a particular RX worksheet number. The number is 233. See that? You see that?
Right. Yeah, I gotcha.
You could have just come here under Place New Order, RX Ordering. Click on New, and in Stores Reference, you type R233, and then you click this button. And what it does is it's going to go and look for that RX worksheet, and it's going to put all the data that you need right there.
Okay.
Okay? So everything that we have is here, and obviously it's all for demo purposes. That input in your PD information, of course, that's required. But basically, we've got all the information that we need over here. If you've already placed the order, okay, because likely you've gone online and placed this order, right, in the case of VSP. So maybe you already have an order number that you could type in there.
Right.
Maybe if you've already gone online and if they'd already invoiced you, you might have an invoice number as well.
Right.
If you don't, it's not mandatory.
Gotcha.
Okay? Then you just click on email. If there's data missing, the system will tell you that there's data missing. If there's not, the system will send out your email. Email successfully sent. Okay.
Okay.
So what this has done is it's actually sent.
So.
Yeah. So it's actually, and you have an order number, which has been created as well. Close.
So you're going to call me and say, what the heck is this?
No, I sent it to myself. Remember I put my email address? So I sent it to me. So you got nothing to worry about there. Now you've sent the order out. So just for your information, if I was to come back into the patient's file, okay, if I open up this patient's file, so now my order's gone out, and now I'm waiting for my job to come back from the lab, right?
Right.
So if I open up this patient's file, I've got the original invoice, which I created. I've got my RX worksheet, which I also created, and I also have this job status, which is going to give me information related to this job. I can see the date that this user created the RX worksheet, and I can also see the date that it was ordered.
Right.
So you have all kinds of information related to this particular job, okay? Where it was ordered and who it was ordered to, etc., etc. You can add other statuses. You can type a comment. You know, this is in the case that in the event that you wanted to be communicating with your staff, or maybe it's just stuff that you need to know, like a comment related to this job, something that you need to remember to do. There's different types of things. Instead of comments, you can set a reminder for yourself. Remind me tomorrow to do something. Okay? You can do other things, like you can say, okay, my lenses have been received, or the lenses are edged, or they're ready for patient pickup, or maybe there's some sort of exception, or maybe it's on hold. So you can set a whole bunch of things here, lab exception. A lot of these things will happen automatically, like for example, lenses received. You could come into the system and say the lenses are received and click OK. Or you can do this, click on Product Receive Transfer. You're going to click on New. The lenses arrived. Who did they come from? Select. You're going to enter your account number. That's your account number. And it pops it up. It says here it's for this customer. You can say yes, they're received, receive them.
Okay.
All I did was I just selected it, and by selecting it, it automatically populates all the information that I needed. It actually shows my invoice number, my patient. All I have to do now is say how much was it? What was the price of this thing? If I know the price, I enter it here. If in the case of labs where there's lab chargebacks, you might not actually know the price at the moment that you receive it. Okay? But let's assume that I did know the price. Okay, and let's say that they charged me, I don't know, $75 for each. To clear the data, press clear, 75, and over here, 75. Okay? So I enter $75 per lens, there's my total, and I click on Save.
Gotcha.
Oh, I'm missing the supplier's invoice number. Click yes to continue without one? No. You've got a document number there. It's an invoice number. It's a document number. It's something unique, right? I'm going to say 09090909, okay? And I'm going to click on Save. Now I've just received my lenses in the system.
Okay.
By receiving them in the system, it's actually updated the job status to say that they're received.
All right.
It's updated it automatically. Okay? Right? This was the invoice. This was the RX worksheet. This is the job status.
Okay.
So it's actually updated it to say, hey, guess what? Lenses received. Okay? So all of this gives you your tracking of your job, and there's many other things that I could have done. The point is, let's assume your patient comes back into the store right now. Your patient comes back into the store and he says, okay, I want to pick up my glasses. They're here. Thank you very much, sir. You hand him his glasses. His full balance is paid off anyways. You could print out another receipt for him if you wanted. Perhaps you just want to print the invoice only, or not. Up to you if you want to print out another one. If there was a balance due, you would collect the balance due, obviously, and you close the job. You'd say it's now delivered. It puts your delivery date there automatically, and you're done. Close. You're done, but the lab still owes you money, right? The lab still owes you that $325. So now how do you, not the lab, sorry, the insurance. The insurance still owes you that $325. So how do you receive a payment from insurance? You click here under Insurance Payments. These are all the payments you've received so far, so you're going to click on New. You're going to say, who's my insurance provider? Then you're going to go here under Unpaid Claims. And you're going to say, it's the unpaid claim for this patient. Yes, it is. Select it, and then right-click, Add to Payment. And what it does is it pops up everything that you need. It actually says, here's that $100, here's that $250 for those lenses, here's the $100 for the frame, here's the $25 copay. So, let's say that they did in fact pay you your full $250 for the lenses. You would click on that blue arrow so as to transfer the amount from this column, which is the insurer, what he was supposed to pay you, to what he actually paid you, this payment. See $250, and you see the total was added down here at $250.
Right.
Now let's say you were supposed to collect $100 for your Ray-Bans, but for whatever reason, miscalculation, misunderstanding, you only collected $75. Now you click that blue arrow, and now your total becomes $325. Don't forget there was a copay, which you need to subtract from whatever they would have paid you. Your total now becomes $300. Whereas you were supposed to collect $325, you only collected $300.
Correct.
So far so good?
Yeah.
Great. Now, we actually received our lenses from the lab, right? And when we received the lenses from the lab, we said that the lab was the same company as the insurance, so it actually put that amount automatically here as a lab chargeback.
Okay.
If you hadn't received lenses from the lab, you would have to manually add a chargeback. You would have to say,
Okay.
what did you receive? You know, you received these GP lenses, and you'd enter your amount,
Okay.
150. And if there was taxes, you'd say that and you'd add it. But you
Okay.
don't have to do this because you actually received your lenses via Wink already in the past. So you don't have to do this step. All you do is you say $75 and $75.
Right.
And if you had, when you received the lenses, if the amount was actually $0 because you didn't know because it was just a bill of, you know, a packing slip, it would have said 0, right? You would have simply come in here and changed the amount to be 75.
Okay.
So now what I have is I was supposed to collect $325, remember, from my insurance? But instead of 325, it went down to 300, right, instead of 325. And then instead of 300, you have to subtract your lab chargeback. So the actual check that you have received from this insurance company is only for $150.
Okay.
Okay? You come in here, you put in the check number, and then you click on Save.
Okay.
So I've just saved it. Right? Now this
Right.
is $150 that I've now received as a payment. So when I go in here, when I start pulling out my report, I have 3 reports that I pull out every day. First one is a sales report. And when I pull out this sales report for today, it's going to say, okay, you have one payment today. The total amount of the payment was $485. Why isn't it 510? Do you remember how it was originally 510? The amount of this invoice?
Because of the chargebacks, right?
No, it's because you remember the original amount of the invoice was 510. But instead of collecting $100 for your frames, you only collected 75. So it's as if you gave your customer a $25 discount.
Gotcha.
Okay? So now your total sales for the day is 485.
Yeah.
Close. Reports, patients, payments received, details for today. Generate. I have sales of $485, but cash I only brought in $185. Right? I mean, this is actual my Visa charge, or this was on Visa. So I actually brought in $185 on Visa as payments received. This is so for bank reconciliation, so you can know how much is being deposited into your bank account, right? So this is $185 as a payments received. Close. The other report that you need to pull out is your insurance payments received. And how much are we going to see here?
Right.
So the amount, we were originally expecting 325. Instead of 325, we collected 300. We had a lab chargeback of 150. Therefore, we have a payment of 150. And that's my total received from insurance today.
Right.
So those are the reports that you pull out on a daily basis that help you understand how you're running your business. And what we've just covered is we've covered the process for insurance and the process for lab ordering at the same time. But it looks like you're doing it. It looks like you're doing it pretty well, because I noticed when I went here under new orders, RX ordering, you know, you've already done quite a few. Have you pretty much been doing it the way I've described?
Pretty much, yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
So you figured it all out. Fantastic. That's the idea. So we got different things. Perfect. That's what I needed to hear. Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's pretty, it is pretty self-explanatory, so that's not bad.
Perfect. All right, John. So you're good to go. I'll
Other
let you
than
know.
I got a big new bill on my money in my account, which I don't know how to get rid of.
What do you mean? Oh, right. We have to delete these
In my
transactions.
account transactions, yeah.
Yeah,
Then my books are off by now.
no problem.
Whatever week.
So in order to do this, what we have to do right now is we have to actually delete in reverse order everything that we did, right? So we go
Right.
in reverse order. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this insurance payment.
Okay.
So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to delete this. Are you sure you want to delete it? Yes. Gone. Next. Now that I've deleted that, I need to delete the product that I've received over here. Remember these lenses that I received? I need to
Right.
open this up, I edit this, and I delete it. So
Yeah.
as to
See, I
say, I
don't
know.
the whole thing.
What's
I
that?
don't know if I did that every time.
Well, it doesn't matter. The old stuff is old. I mean, we weren't even using the system yet. Oh, are all of these things not true? No.
Oh no, those are yeah. All that
Okay.
stuff.
So you're okay. So I'm just doing it in reverse order, right? So first I delete my
Right.
insurance payment, then I delete the product that I received. Now I'm going to come in here, RX ordering. I'm going to actually delete this order, edit, delete, yes. So now the order's gone. Now I'm going to go under Find Patient, HARIR, boom, Ted, and I'm going to delete my invoice and worksheet.
Okay. But it has to be in order, right?
Yes,
So
because one thing, right, because one thing is related to the other. Let's say I tried to delete this invoice, right, and I hadn't deleted, and I haven't deleted the insurance or the order related to it. The system's going to say you can't delete this. There's an order going out. It's a security precaution, right?
Gotcha.
So you first you create your invoice, then you create your lab order, then you receive lenses from the lab, and then you receive the payment from the insurance. So that's
Right.
the step that you created it. Now what you want to do is you want to delete all of this. So you have to go in the reverse order. You first delete the insurance payment, then you delete the fact that you received the lenses, then you delete the fact that you ordered the lenses, and then you delete the invoice.
Okay.
So now it's gone. If I came here under reports, and I remember earlier I did a sales report, I'm going to come back here and click on sales, details for today,
Nothing.
nada. One page, there's nothing there.
Okay.
All good?
That sounds good.
Okay, great. Oh, you know one thing I didn't show you, by the way, is
Okay.
in your emails. Can you open up your emails?
On here.
Yeah, it's right there.
There it is. Look at
Okay,
that.
this is what it looks like when we send the order to your lab. Hello,
Okay.
please see attached a lab order form. Thank you. Some information, and you can see it right there. That's what a lab order form looks like,
Fantastic.
with all the information the lab needs.
All right.
All right, that's your number, yada yada, your account number, your reference number. Right, notice we never put the patient's name here, so you have to refer to this by an R number.
Right.
Okay, to protect confidentiality, obviously, etc., etc.
Okie doke. All right.
Good stuff,
Thank you.
John. Thanks very much.
All right. Talk to you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.